to be seen. Freakazoid, Freakazoid, there's something that is up to you. Freakazoid, Freakazoid, it's brand new, so new. It has a jumping for you. Can't go kids for sleeping for Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
Check out this, the computer hates. Surfing on the internet, but that's the side of things. He turned into the Freakazoid, he's fucking so quick. He drives up in his way, cause he's a benefit.
There's no places of Superman. Freakazoid, Freakazoid, talk about it, that's his hand. Freakazoid, chimpanzee, our lives are running, they come in. Freakazoid, Freakazoid, folks who make a movie. Freakazoid, we stay in connection, so stay tuned to the station. If not, you'll be unknown. Freakazoid, Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
All right, thanks everybody. That's Freakazoid's 30th anniversary. Wowie wow. My name's Joe. Scream everybody! Woo! I forgot that was there. I truly did scream. My name's Joey. I'm the host of the Animanicast podcast. But these are the... Hello, sir. Okay. I'm the host of the Animanicast podcast, but these are the folks we want to talk to. This, of course, is the writer, producer, and of course, voice of Freakazoid himself, is Mr. Paul Rugg. Oh my gosh.
It's early, thank you.
I know it's so early in the mornings. Senior producer and writer of the series is Mr. Tom Ruegger. Woo. And of course we have the series producer, designer, and director, it's Mr. Mitch Shauer. And we would not be able to do this panel truly correctly unless we have our musical composers for the series, Steve and Julie Bernstein. Oh my. So, folks, we have everything that you would possibly want in this lovely panel today. We have wonderful guests, and of course, at the end, we will have a man fighting a bear. So, I think we're just going to take it away. And Paul, tell us,
Joey?
what is the beginnings of Freakazoid?
The beginnings. So Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, right? Correct. And Steven Spielberg, they were gonna, based on Animaniacs and Batman the Animated Series and all that, Steven said, I want to do a slightly sarcastic superhero show. And Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, who were very good at this since they did Batman the Animated Series, said, okay, we'll do that. And I guess as it went back and forth, Steven finally said, no, I want it to be more like Animaniacs, at which Bruce Timm said, I don't want to do that. So it was given to Tom Ruegger in a December, less than a year before we were supposed to premiere. Take it from there, Tom.
I said, what? And they had drawn some pictures, and it was called Freakazoid. And Gene McCurdy said, it's on September. And I went into the next office, Paul Rugg and John McCann were in there. I said, guess what you're doing? and they said, what? And I said, you're making a funny superhero show. And so the three of us went off and wrote lots of things. We didn't know what it was, but whatever we wrote, the rule was theoretically it had to be funny, and it had to involve a superhero. So we wrote a bunch of things, and we sent a bunch of things off to Steven, and he said, wait, this is lots of funny stuff. What does this mean? And so then John and Paul both started working on, this whole Who's Dexter Douglas, and now you go back.
Yeah. So we'd never been. We were running on Animaniacs. We were sketch comics because we were like, we don't know anything about superheroes, which clearly shows if you watch the show. In fact, someone yesterday at the table asked me, so what were Freakazoid's powers? And I was like, whatever. We wanted him to be on that particular day, which is truly true. We just knew he couldn't fly, which is why he would run and go and run around. So, where did I want to pick this up? I don't know. Oh, yeah. So John and I were thinking like, geez, how does Dexter become Freakazoid? And we took like a week. And there was not a week that we could have taken on that, meaning we were that late. And we finally came in and we told Tom, it's when the mom uses the garage door opener. That's when it becomes Freakazoid. And Tom goes, I could care less. We need scripts. So no one will care. So so we were like, oh, this is gonna be kind of fun because no one cares. Okay.
Yeah, and then we had a guy named Scott Gerald, who we said, you're gonna make this show, Scott, and he went and had a heart attack immediately. He literally had a heart attack. He said, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then we said, let's get Mitch Shauer. He won't have a heart attack. And so what happened, Mitch?
Well, I caused that heart attack. No, Tom called me. I was working at another place, and Tom said, would you like to come over and work on this show? Produce this show. I can't tell you the name of it.
Oh.
So I had to blindly commit to it.
Wow.
And I did. And I walked in, Jean McCurdy showed me this office, and she was the big boss, and she said, you're not gonna be staying in this room, it's too big. While I was waiting there, Bill DeBay comes in with this armload of artwork, and this is in March. He lays it on the table, goes, we need it in September, and walks out. So from then on, we had 6 crews, as I recall, 6 crews, full crews, most talented people in the business. We inherited a crew to do Toby Danger. So it was just a mad dash to get finished. And of course, Tom and Paul and John and everybody, they're writing as crazy as they can. And we're trying to produce it as fast as we can, but it was just turning out to look really good. And it almost came off as looking kind of improv, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Mitch designed the lettering. I think you'll see this lettering. Mitch, what was this lettering based on? What magazine was that? It was the Monsters of Hollywood type.
Famous Monsters?
Famous Monsters. This lettering is like from the
Yeah.
Sorry. I think that's right. Is that right? They're having a problem.
But if you think about it, Dexter Douglas, when I designed Dexter, who does it look like?
Really? Oh my God. Oh, wow, there's news.
That changes everything. That's
Sweet
mind-blowing. News that you have never heard. Update the Wikipedias, everybody.
Now I'm really insulted. Thank you.
Well, I also got to point out one of Mitch's, my favorite design that Mitch did right here is Emmett. Right? Emmett Nervin. Can you tell us because Emmett was always a fun thing as a kid watching the show. Because at the credits you'd see Emmett Nervin appears X amount of times in this episode. And so who is Emmett? What's going on with this weird looking guy? How did this guy's design come about?
Well, I'm a big fan of Mad Magazine, and you see these characters in Mad Magazine just kind of standing in the background and not doing anything. And I think Emmett is a little bit of Paul in it, because I wanted somebody that is just going to stand there. He needs to look like he's either doing something cruel, sexual, or really evil, but he's enjoying it. And so that's where it came from.
Psychopath.
And at the end of the episodes, we would have, it would say, Emmett Nervin appears in this episode like 3 times, 5 times, and it was sort of like a, what do you call it, Easter egg?
Yeah, it got me to rewatch the episode on my tape. Rewind the thing and watch it again. Well, Steve and Julie, tell us about the musical, compositions that you would have did. This was a different sound than any other cartoon that I was listening to on, well, for me it was Sunday mornings on WGN, but or Saturday mornings, whatever you were.
You know, I can't remember how it became. It was like a big band, but did you, Tom? Did you or Paul? Did somebody? Did you say something? I
The
think that you said
main
something.
title, there was like.
Well, there were 10. I mean, I think that Richard Stone wrote like 10 versions, and then he chose.
It was a Manhattan Transfer song, but I said, I don't like this. It was, how does the, Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. Ooh-wee, this feeling's killing me. Shucks, it's like $1,000,000. So Richard took that and turned it into Super Team Extraordinary.
Yeah. And then we got to arrange and orchestrate that, and then also just write big band music throughout the show, which was
Everything was kind of based off of that main title song, so we got the kind of band that could play all this, the orchestra and band that could play this big band music, and it was so fun.
Animaniacs it had brass instruments, but it wasn't a big band sound. But Freakazoid was definitely a big band sound.
And a very large orchestra. How many people? Like 40?
900?
900. A lot of, like, yeah.
It was like
40?
38.
38.
38. All right.
To be
Anyway,
exact.
that's more than 2.
And no
That was
cowbell.
wrong.
And no cowbell. Yeah.
There was no cowbells.
No harp.
Yeah.
Oh, no, hard.
Yeah.
No, we did have a harp for the very last episode. Yeah.
Well, so
whatever.
depending on the episode.
Yeah. When we found
we'd
out
have
we
a
were
banjo
canceled,
or
when we found out we were canceled,
Yeah.
we did very last episode. There was like thousands of dollars left in the
That's
music
right.
budget, so we had like almost a 60-piece musical.
Yeah, no,
60
we had a
guitars.
harp and we
Yeah,
had
we had
French
a harp,
horns,
and
which were always really special.
Because the very last episode was Mozart,
Right.
was Norma Deus, so
Yeah.
it was a spoof of
Right.
Amadeus, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
there you go.
What was the final song of the show?
We'll meet again, don't know where to go, yeah. That's the only music we ever, well, as far as I know, we ever paid for.
Yeah.
We ever licensed.
Everything else we stole.
Yeah.
I think we have maybe, and if this doesn't work, let's ignore it. But I think we have a selection here from Invisible, which has some great orchestration by Julie. The words I think were written by John McCann.
Well,
Julie wrote the tune,
I
Julie wrote
wrote
the
the tune, and as a matter of fact, it was very funny because, excuse
Aren't you
me,
a singer on this too?
I could be, it
Yeah.
sounds good,
Okay,
yes.
let's see. I hope it's here. Let's see
But
what happens.
the funny thing was
No, that's not
that
it.
it was, so the
That's the other
song
thing.
was nominated for an Emmy.
That's not it. That's so wrong. Okay, I don't have it.
So the song was nominated for an Emmy, and John and I were backstage waiting as Shirley MacLaine announced.
Shirley Jones.
Sorry, not Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine would have known the answer.
Yeah, Shirley Jones, who was the mother on, for anybody,
Brady
the
Bunch.
Brady Bunch mother.
No.
No.
Partridge Family.
Partridge Family.
Partridge Family.
Jack Cassidy's
But
One of
very
those.
straight-laced, and so Shirley Jones was announcing, and Freakazoid, and the nominees, Invisible. Very funny, because she
She
was having
couldn't make
trouble
heads or tails of
pronouncing
it.
both Freakazoid and Invisible, and we didn't win.
Oh.
Not that time.
But I think we didn't win
A
because.
year or two before the main title won, and the Emmy for the song of the year,
Yeah.
and we beat out Paul Simon.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
There was two and.
Paul Simon had written the theme song for that season for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and so
Amazing.
she
So there were-
lost a
But
freak.
so Animaniacs won for the main title and also for the underscore because it was for Les Miserables.
No, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So two Emmys. It was very exciting.
No. That's just sure go off.
anybody here from Florida?
Mitch, you had mentioned how the whole thing came off as very improv-ish, when you're in the process. Because you guys were like, you had to hustle. This is not like, I was talking to Tom, and I was like, wow, so let's think about this. So 30 years ago, like now, you're in the thick of it, right? Basically right now, in panic mode. Because this is coming out in like 5 months, and you're like, God, what are we gonna do? So there's these great, and it's amazing that the show works as well as it does. And I think part of it is because the allowance that you guys had to do improv kind of stuff. So tell us about that. How did some segments come across that were just like off the cuff? We're gonna get into
It all comes from going into the booth, especially when I first started, because I wasn't we auditioned a bunch of people to be Freakazoid, and finally Tom said, just go in there and you record something, and then they played it for Steven. Steven said, fine, I'll Paul do it. But what Tom would do is, we had a script, and then Tom would every now and then say, now do something weird. Or we had a script, and okay, now just don't worry about the script, just talk for 20 seconds about butterflies. Or whatever, right? And that's what we did. And then it became very improv. But we did that at the very beginning, and then after that, once we understood it, we wrote to that. We didn't necessarily improv all the time. In fact, I think we rarely did it after the first 2 episodes because okay, I get it. And not only did you mention, like, we're under the gun, but we were also launching Kids WB. So we were a launch show, and Steven's our executive producer. And so, pressure? Yes, I think so, yeah.
So when August, like 2 weeks before we went on the air with the show, we received our first batch of footage from the studios overseas that were animating them. You know, we had recorded them here in Los Angeles, and we had written them, and we had drawn them, and we had done the storyboards, but then the heavy muscle, the heavy lifting of animating it were done in several studios overseas. So we got back the first batch of footage, which was about a half hour's worth of stuff. And it had like Handman, and it had a bunch of little clips. It had the Legends Who Lunch. It had the thing where Washington, D.C. and Clinton and the Pope and a bunch of weird stuff. And so we sent it over to Steven, and he said, oh yeah, you know, there's some good stuff here, but I like this. Put Handman in the first episode, but this moron, the boron or whatever moron, hate him. Put him in the last episode of the season because I don't like him. And little did he know that we had a whole half hour of moron stuff already in the works. And I said, oh, so what we did, we changed his name to Boron. So since he hated moron, we thought that we'd get away with that. But we couldn't put the stuff, 3 months down the road because we only had that half hour's worth of footage. So basically everything he liked and didn't like went in that first week. Yeah. Oh well.
I absolutely loved Moron, by the way. I was just, for the next week, I was just thinking, I am Moron. For everybody,
That was Stan Freberg, famous voice actor.
Amazing guy. Love Stan Freberg stuff. Well, let's see. I think it's one of I have 2 improv-y things right here that Paul did. Now, of course, we have the low bridge, and we have you talking about the cast. What would you like to show the lovely audience and discuss?
The cast one from
no, we'll just say the boogeyman, but for real. We're not going to say his name.
Okay, yeah.
Too great.
I'd just like to pause here a minute and say what a gas and a sagacious experience it is working on today's show, because I walked onto the set today and everyone looked at me and said, we're going to have fun. Fun, fun, fun. And then Joey Leahy came, the announcer. Tell me he's not great. Tell me he's not great. Go ahead, tell me. You can't, right? You can't. And then you've got Eddie Asman, a better man, a huggable guy, a kisser. And Kenny Mars, funny? I think so. And these kids, have you ever in your life been filled with more joy being around kids, whether they're, religious, experiential or not? I love them, all of them. We'll hug after the show. Anyway, I needed to say that.
Okay, so how did that scene right there come about with Freakazoid just talking about the cast?
Did you script that?
No, we talked about that. Okay. It was like Freakazoid being held, and then I just started riffing, and you go, okay, let's just do that. And I remember that was the second episode we were recorded, and I'm like, religious, experiential, or not, and Tom's laughing, and I think Ed Asner was sitting there going, what am I doing? Why am I here? And then you just sort of add in it. But the other thing is that when I see Ed Asner and then David Warner and then Ricardo Montalban and Tim Curry and all the stars that we had, they kept coming back because they had such a great time. And so, and David Warner, I don't know if you guys know David Warner, but David Warner is, you know, he was just an amazing Shakespearean kind of actor. He was Ra's al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series, and we had him singing and telling jokes. And he was filming Titanic at the time in Long Beach at a big dunk tank for the water scenes. And he would drive all the way. He would take his break from Titanic. James Cameron would let him out to come sing stupid things on our show, and he would have pizza. So I mean, they all had a very good time, I think.
And Ricardo Montalban was a huge actor in the 40s and the 50s, and Paul did this impression of Ricardo Montalban, and our voice director, and Paul wanted him to be the big villain in the series. And Andrea Romano, our voice director, said, "I'll try to get him." And she did.
And she did. And Ricardo Montalban showed up, and we're like, "Why is he here?" And he was, I guess he was kind of in pain. He had an injury, and his doctor said, "Hey, you should go get out of the house." So he decided to do Freakazoid. But he like homeworked his script. He knew exactly, because I tried. Ricardo, this is the parody of Khan, the Wrath of Khan, and he goes, "My friend, I understand the joke. I understand. So I will do that, and you." And he did. He just knew what to do. And then one day we were very short on an episode, and it was a Ricardo episode, and we needed like a minute and a half to 2 minutes. It's like, what are we gonna do? Because there's no time to reanimate. So we thought, oh, why don't we get a bunch of footage, stock footage, which Freakazoid was always using stock footage. And we said, why don't we have these be Gutierrez, the character Gutierrez, his bloopers, his favorite bloopers. So we cut it all together, we called Ricardo in, and we said, "Ricardo, these are your favorite bloopers." And so what a blooper is, my friend, I know what a blooper is. I understand, let's just roll this. You don't have that, do you?
No.
And and Bruce Timm had never really communicated with us about whether he liked what we were doing or anything, and we're in the booth recording with Ricardo. Ricardo and I are doing this blooper, talking about the bloopers, sort of like Bob Saget would do. And Bruce Timm comes in and he's crying laughing. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. All right.
We have a little bit of Ricardo Montalban.
At least let the laugh go. No, I cannot. Why? Because he tasks me. He tasks me. Round the moons of Snivia, I chuckle at thee. Beyond the Corpian clouds, I chuckle more at thee. Revenge is a dish best served with pinto beans and muffins. Oh, friend, Oh, sorry. Goodbye.
So we had lots of amazing other. One of my favorite in the second season was Jonathan Harris taking over as for Ingmar. He's mute, you know, as Jonesy. Tell us about Jonathan Harris.
Well, I don't know. We were big fans of Star Trek, and Lost in Faith. Sorry, we're big fans of Lost in Faith. Yeah, and we were like, wouldn't it be funny if we gave Jonathan Harris, Dr. Smith, to come in the show? And so we wrote this big long letter, "Dear Mr. Harris, we are such fans. What a tribute!" And we gave it to Andrea Romano. She goes, "Why are you writing this letter?" I go, "Well, we really want him to come." She goes, "Are you paying? He'll come." And we're like, "Oh, really? Is that? It's okay." So he came, and we said, "You're Dr. Smith," and he goes, "Wonderful. I will do it." And he was wonderful, and he would come in, and then when we won the Emmy, he sent us this note because we would always have this conversation before we did the show, and he would always talk about Irwin Allen. Irwin Allen was a horrible human being. Didn't like the man at all. And he had this he didn't like executives. So he would all go, "Paulie, do what you want, screw him." And then when we won the Emmy, he was like, "So at last, wonderful things have happened. I hate executives. Wonderful." Anyway, he was And then after that, we would have lunch with him about every month. John online?
You can go online and look up Jonathan Harris, and he has interviews where he talks about Freakazoid and how he loved Paul and John.
He's So anyway, he was so fun.
I think we have one clip of him right here.
1. Norm Abram is gone. 2.
We don't have a 2.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Now, I've been mulling this whole thing over, and I think I know what happened to Norm. Pixie people. What? Hear me out, Freakazoid. The government's covered up their existence for years. Now, here's my scenario. The Pixie people live in the center of the Earth, and owing to a strange atmospheric phenomenon, the only television program they can get is Norm Abram's Carpentry Show. Now, one day, the Pixie King was crushed by a boulder. He was killed, but a new leader had to be chosen. So they came up here, kidnapped Norm Abram, then took him down to their cabin, where he's now the Pixie King. What do you think? 1. Norm Abram is gone. 2.
We don't have a 2.
One of my great favorites is called Freakazoid, and that was one of them. And it was written by 2 brilliant guys who really went so far afield, they were off the wall. And Warner Brothers didn't understand any of that. So they canceled us. And they didn't have a clue what these 2 brilliant guys were writing, and what we who were in the cast adored, because it was off the wall and really very adult and very childlike as well. That's what we canceled. God, sometimes. It's almost worse. You give me a baby.
And by the way, I have a picture right here with David Kaufman as Dexter Douglas, and I totally see Tom Ruegger right now.
Dexter.
Yeah, we gotta open it up for everybody, I think. If you have any questions for any of these folks, I'm gonna come on down to you guys, and I have a microphone right here, and we'll see what we can do to answer your questions. Okay. Hey there. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is also Tom. And my question is, first, thank you to Steve and Julie and whoever came up with The Huntsman, which is the greatest, ironically, inspirational theme song. I've given it to friends and now they're obsessed with it. Was that something where you were told, write something this long, or you just told, okay, write something however long you want and laminate around it? How did that go?
I think that John McCann was...
So that, John, and the way we always worked with this, which was beautiful, is we would write a song, and John McCann, that was John McCann's baby, The Huntsman. And he wrote, and John McCann's idea was, I want to do a show where the theme song is much longer than the actual show. And so he wrote this long thing, and then from there, I don't know whether that was you guys or
Well, sometimes I can't remember exactly, but also when it came to John and Paul, they wouldn't only write the lyrics, they would sort of partially write the music, or they would say
it's based on this, it sounds like this.
But even sometimes they would say, I wanted to go, they would hum a little bit, and so we would work with them.
And yeah, I think I did the orchestration on that one. I remember being very happy that I got to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of brass.
Yeah.
Thanks for remembering that. That was one of my favorite things.
Hunt, 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 he's the huntsman.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other questions right now? Should. Yes, sir. Come on up.
As you can tell, I'm kind of a peer to you guys. The 90s and 80s, late 80s, early 80s were a little weird for a lot of us. Were non-prescription medications set at Warner Brothers at any time that you saw either guests coming in or?
And no, there was coffee. There was a ton of coffee. There was a lot of Diet Coke. There's a lot of coffee, a lot of Diet Coke.
This is just who they are. That's the weird part.
That's what I wanna know.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
We actually, in a very unhealthy way, we did smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, we did.
Not the, I mean, you can buy these at
Mary
the.
Jane, not Mary
But
Marble box.
I will tell you, every Freakazoid episode we ever did was always preceded by an hour-long session in our little green room where the studio was. And we had a special pizza called Baroni's Pizza. And all the actors would come, Ed Asner, Ricardo Montalban, Jonathan Harris, David Warner, all of us, and we would all sit around and just have pizza for like an hour and talk and chat and kind of loosen up and pretty much everybody would start showing up right at 1. We would record from 2 to 6, and normally an actor just blows in and they leave. But they would all start coming in around 1, so they could have pizza and talk, and Jonathan Harris was always like, and Ricardo was telling stories, but it was Baroni's, and I don't know what was in the Baroni's pizza. Okay.
But Baroni's was also the name of the planet that Bora Mora came from.
Yeah, all right, any other questions here? I think we could show, we could show the true making of Freakazoid, I believe,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact is what they've been telling you folks here, it's some truth, but to find the real truth, there is actually a documentary.
Oh, also, do you happen to have the hello, the music, what was the thing that we... Oh, sorry. The Lobi. Do you have Bonjour Lobi with the reference copy and all that stuff?
I may have a rough copy of that if we want to possibly show that.
Well, we're talking about music, and I thought we could just.
You know what?
That.
I've been working on something. Okay, I'm gonna flip around here.
Because it's music.
Because this is some new content, folks. I'm going to possibly maybe.
If you don't have it, so anyway, what happened? We did a parody of Hello Doll, and
But you didn't
these people are so amazing. It was like we can't use Hello Doll because we would get sued. So we have to just change it a little bit so that in court.
We wouldn't go to jail.
You wouldn't go to
Suffer large fines.
Right.
So we did a parody of Hello Dolly, and we decided to do it a shot-for-shot parody of Hello Dolly. And this is with David Warner, Mr. Shakespearean villain man, that we have to sing.
Who can't sing?
Who can't sing? And he was like, please don't make me sing, I do want to sing. And we're like, if you're terrible, it's fine. It's better. He goes, then I'll sing.
All right, I'm going to
Let's
show.
just show it and then we'll all.
I'm going to show folks if I can get this right. I'm going to mirror my screen, and this is kind of a. This is yes. I don't think Tom has seen this yet.
He wants
this is
to
something I've
watch.
been working on.
So what we did was and so we probably would get sued if anyone actually knew this, but we used the exact Hello Dolly, and we put it right, and we made our own version.
Yeah. So this is not final. This will be posted somewhere online until it gets
This
taken
is
down.
content you're not going to get anywhere
Oh
else. So just watch it.
no. And then we'll watch. This is a 4-minute video.
It's 4 minutes, and then we'll say goodbye to you. Oh, come say hi to us at the
Oh, here we go. We got it.
Bonjour, Lobi, oui, bonjour. Lobi, we're so pleased that you come back. We have to scream. We see your face, Lobi, and your race. Lobi, calculating for you. Lating seems, let's throw a big party for our big party. We're just pleased as much to see your big fat head. Wow, waiters, you want a bowl of chow, waiters? Don't forget a big old plate of bread. As a criminal, I shouldn't show my face, so years in seclusion I've spent. But now I realize it's okay to show my face. If anyone squeals, I'll entomb them in cement.
Nobody's got a hearty appetite.
I'm so pleased that you've come back. I have to scream. Well, go ahead. I see your face. Oh my. Love it and your brain. Love is something. Love it. Undulating, calculating for you. Letting sleep, let's throw a big party for this big. Smiling, I'm just pleased and touched to see your big fat head. See how big it is. Oh, it's a big fat head. Feeling mood, winners, big fat porno suit. Yeah, don't forget a big old plate of bread. Oh, hey, no be bonjour. No be we're so pleased that you come back. We have to scream. Ah! We see your veins, glowing and your brains, glowing, undulating, calculating for you, plating schemes, just smell of blue. I smell breaking and the song is shaking, glowing back and feeling higher than a kite. Oh, give me food, winners, bake on board or soon, winners. Nobody's got a hearty app. Nobody's got a hearty app. Nobody's got a hearty appetite.
There we go. Well,
I have never understood until this moment why Paul Rudd wanted all 4 minutes of that thing on. I said, Paul, really? You know, it does go on. He said, it really, yeah, you can't cut, you can't trim. And now, that is, Joey, thank you so much for putting that together. That's fabulous.
well, yeah, thank you. But that's not a final draft. There's actually even more synchronicity of the little. But I was telling Paul, I've never looked at Barbara Streisand's hands so much in my life because the hand movements are just. Lomi is doing exactly the same things, and there's even a few other little. Every time it's still not done, folks. I'll put a little edit up there eventually, but yeah.
Anyway, that was fun.
It was fun. These folks are all down the corner around there. Any questions, and of course, tons of autographs. And I don't know if you've heard about these Freakazoid hats.
You probably have an overwhelming desire and need.
Yes.
I don't know why.
These collectible hats are available at Paul's table as well. So come and see everybody. We have the original soundtracks for both the Animaniacs, the original Animaniacs and the Animaniacs reboot.
On vinyl.
On vinyl, signed by Steve and Julie. We have original art by both Mitch Shauer and Tom Ruegger, as well as Prince and stuff. And talk to us, ask them all about their different shows. I think before we go, however, we have one more thing to do.
So long. We're done. Not quite.
I promise, and then
Now we're done.